Technology is providing new ways of solving age-old problems. And in the construction industry, Muckaway is a company that's using a digital platform to solve the construction problem of waste. So joining me today to find out a little bit more about that is Muckaway founder Fraser Linaker and director Ian Cheveau. So I just want to find out initially, guys, what is it that made you aware that there was a construction waste problem, and how that maybe inspired you to create Muckaway.com?
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's always been an issue, especially from an inefficiency point of view. The biggest issue in this industry is people not talking to each other. There's no real collaboration. So you'll get a house builder, let's just say in the centre of Warrington, and there'll be another house builder 3 miles away. One will have a surface topsoil, one will require a surface topsoil, but they won't speak to each other because we just don't, and there's no way for them to contact unless somebody knows somebody. But where this was born from was from frustrations of sitting in CVR meetings, and spoil management is one of the biggest costs that you have, or one of the biggest cost overruns, especially if you get it wrong. But when I was at the groundworks company in the Northwest, or PAS groundworks company, we aggressively tendered on a lot of work within the first year, because that was my remit, to work with Paul to grow the business, which we did. And it's funny, when I went over to the groundworks side, I got more phone calls off different house builders and different QSs saying, I've got a surplus here of 3,000 cube, Fraser, do you need it? And any of your sites? I'm like, no, well, I don't need it, but because we've just priced 20 odd sites and I can see the cut and fills and all the sites, you do realise there's a site round the corner 5 miles away, Bellway. Oh, is it? Yeah. Do you want me to put you in touch with the guy? Yeah. So I was sort of matchmaking all these different house builders because I was in the know, because we've seen all the cut and fills. But what the platform actually does, it puts all these people together in one place, enables them to match, enables them to collaborate. So the company has been developed and built by a house builder, by a developer, for the developers. So when I say this to people, as an industry calling, I've lived and breathed house building for 25 years. I know and understand the pains that it goes through, good and the bad. So this was developed for them initially, to try and get them speaking to each other, matching and sharing materials. The idea is dead simple. So
it's about solving more than just the problem of what do we do with our waste. There's also that, it's good for the environment and good for reuse and recycling as well.
We've got 3 main pillars of this business. Commercial is absolutely one of them, and we don't hide away from that fact. But the others are, seriously reducing carbon, ESG, and obviously social value, and some of our charitable endeavours of what we do as a business, and that's important as well. And we're having some really positive conversation with a lot of different people, from commercial departments to social value departments to sustainability heads, on how Muckaway can help solve their problem. And we've thought ahead, we've looked what needs to happen in the future, obviously from our experience working in PLC side, to say, what, our system can now report on carbon reduction. It can give you a sustainability report, it can delve into the analytics, and those can be shared and passed on. So essentially Muckaway is doing the job of a head of sustainability in a business, because we can provide that serious data. A lot of these developers now, they have to do the monthly and the quarterly reports to do with the carbon output of them sites in particular. So just like every transaction within the system, it will look at the total volume, it will look at the distance, and it will give you the CO2 emissions from that individual transaction. So you imagine being a Wayne Homes and you've got multiple transactions going through the system, that gives them the total output of the CO2 for their company, basically. So on a quarterly basis, if they want that information, they can download that and off they go.
So it's about more than just saying, on your project, it was zero waste to landfill. You can say zero waste to landfill, but that resulted in X, Y, and Z when it comes to carbon reduction.
Carbon reduction, yeah. And the focus on housing sites, it's always been about the envelope of the actual property, isn't it? So Part L came in, Future Homes, he's coming in, and it's all about to do with the efficiency of the plot. But what about outside the plot? What about the road and sewers that you're putting in, and the groundworks and all the activities that are going in and around the site, not just building the envelope of the houses? So It ticks all the boxes, and like I say, you've got your CO2 tracker in there. Compliance is a massive thing within the industry. Within the system, well, since the start of the year, everything's tracked. So from when you list a donor site to then matching with a receiver site, the initial loading the SI, then having all your soil test and soil analysis done, that all sits within the system. Any MMP updates, that sits within the system. When the haulage company bids on the transaction, bids on the work, which is split 50-50 by the way, between the donor and the receiver. This is the collaboration piece. The waste transfer notes can be listed, the haulage tickets can be listed, the haulage invoices. So everything to do with that transaction sits within the system, and that gets archived because you've got to keep it for 10 years. So, you know, I remember years gone by as a QS scrambling around in the back office and calling up the archive office to get tickets 5 years later, and it's just, we can't work like that anymore, can we? Do you know what I mean? We've got to change as an industry, and the construction industry, it's the last one to adopt changes. It just doesn't like change, but we're here to drive it.
It sounds like having a bit of government legislation or government changes helps quite a bit as well.
But the landfill tax there, so the reason why a lot of clean inert material, which is criminal in itself, went to landfill tax was because the landfill tax was palatable enough for you to think that I don't really have to plan this, and then if this is in the next build route, then just send it to landfill tax, because for 250 quid a load, you know, it is what it is. We don't really need to think about it. But now it's £173 a load just in landfill tax. Then it's your haulage cost on top. Then it's your gate fees. So it's anything around 350 to 400 quid a load. Nobody's viabilities have got that sort of money in it. So now, this is what I was sort of saying before, everyone's having to jump on this now and look at different solutions, and Muckaway isn't the only solution out there. I mentioned Trevor, his business is to do with stabilisation of materials so it can be used on site. So there is different elements that can be used. We're not here to the be all and end all. If developers can use material between their own sites, that's top of the list on the hierarchy, isn't it? If they can't, if they can stabilise it, that's another option. If they can't, then they come into the Muckaway platform, and then they get the opportunity to match with all these different sites in all the different areas of the UK.
It strikes me that when you have a risk-adverse industry, which at the end of the day, the construction industry is somewhat risk-adverse, you need to have a few things to get people on board for making big changes. So we talked already about the stick element with, you know, the government making a change, and now it's not financially palatable, and therefore people are like, I need to find a solution. But then I also think about, you know, you need a solution that feels easy, that's easy to get on board with, and that shows you results that you can say, okay, this makes sense. So do you feel like that's kind of where technology comes in?
The biggest challenge with the construction industry, if you go into any business unit, everyone they'll say, oh, I've not got time. That's always the excuse. And because they're busy, like I say, I've been one of them, everyone is busy. In that, I can only speak for house builders, but there's obviously other companies out there, your tier one construction companies that we are targeting. But the simpler the system and the easier to use, the more success that you'll have. And the system that we've developed, it's dead easy to use. Obviously, it's come out of this brain, so it's got to be simple.
And it's a very functional system. And why is it functional? Because we actually built it with our in mind, because we understand the stakeholder, we understand the user at the end of the mouse, in front of the screen, in a site cabin, in a site HQ, wherever it may be. We understand their habits and their behaviours because we've actually been in their shoes and we've seen it. So we've built the system around those individuals and those stakeholders. We could have thrown loads of fancy functionality into this, and probably down the line we will do. However, at this moment in time, we've built it for them. So within 5 or 6 clicks, Julia, you could get to where you want to get to, and a deal could be done.
So there's a few companies that signed up early last year, but early into our launch. So I think it was start of November. So David Wilson's was one of them. They got up and running, but we didn't do anything with the system because, again, year end and coming into January. So I said to Neil Bradley, commercial director, Neil, let me re-onboard your team again because I want to show him how to use the system. And we're, myself, Ian, Steve Newton, who's our technical manager, we're flying around, we're going to people's offices and onboarding the full teams. We'll do it over Teams, but we'll do it in the office if that's what they want. But so we got everyone on my Teams call with Neil and his QSs. Said, right, okay, have you got a site? Have you got any material that you need to list? Yeah, we've got a site in Liverpool. Right, okay. How much? 1,500 cube, clean, in a subsoil. Right, okay, put it on the system. Press the button to find a match. And there was a match 3 miles away, which was Bellway. We were just speaking to Callum from Bellway, he's a commercial director there. That's just a perfect example. Do you know what I mean? They're three miles away, but they would never speak to each other. They'd be paying for that material, even if it wasn't going to a landfill. It was going somewhere else or into someone's yard. 250 quid a load. They'd be paying 60 quid a load there and splitting the cost 50-50. Yeah. So 30 quid a load. That's what the system does for you. It matches you to sites with people who you would never normally speak to.
Yes, it's really making technology and adopting it a no-brainer. It's saying this is solving a clear problem. It's easy to use. It has a very clear way of delivering real results that make a difference. And, we can see it in action. So building that confidence, like you said, that's brilliant. Well, Fraser and Ian, thank you guys so much for joining me and telling me a bit more about Muckaway. If you want to know more about Muckaway, check out muckaway.com. And if you want to stay in the loop about property news, whether you're in the Northeast, Yorkshire, Northwest, or Midlands, there is a Place website for you. Check out placenortheast.co.uk, placeyorkshire.co.uk, placenorthwest.co.uk, or placemidlands.co.uk. I'm Julia Hatmaker. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss a video.